Hey guys, welcome. What's up? What's going on? This is Terrell Jackson, and I am here on this session of Inspired Progress. And I'm basically talking about strategies for maintaining a positive perspective during hard times. Strategies for maintaining a positive perspective during hard times. Now, what is your hard time? Are you going through a divorce? Are you going through a breakup? You know, have you just recently lost someone? If you have, God bless you, and my condolences out to you. Are you going for a job promotion? Are you going for a job? Are you changing careers? Are you just graduating college? What is the hard time that you are going through? Before I get into it, I want to let you know this. Every ending begets a new beginning. Every ending begets a new beginning. So if you play sports and you win a championship, at the same time you win that championship, it signifies the end of one season and the beginning of the next. So understand that life happens in seasons. Just give it time, it'll come back around. So now, today's episode, we're diving into strategies that will help us maintain a positive perspective when faced with the toughest of challenges. Because remember, progress isn't just moving forward when times are easy. It's also about finding strength and positivity in the midst of adversity. I read a quote by Jamie Foxx the other day. It says, adversity doesn't reveal character. Adversity doesn't build or make character. It reveals it. Something like that. But I'm just saying, I say it like this. Who will your tough times introduce you to? We all have different versions of ourselves. Who will your tough time introduce you to? And I'm here to help you with 5 steps to help ensure that your tough times introduce you to someone that people around you can live with, and your future self will go back and think and say, you know what, I'm glad you didn't give up. I'm glad you maintained a good perspective and you apply some strategies. So now me as your future self, I'm well off. And I look back and I thank you for going through that time that you went through. So the first one is cultivating gratitude. Practicing gratitude is a powerful tool. Amidst challenges, take a moment to reflect on the things you're grateful for, even the smallest blessings. This practice shifts your focus from what's lacking to what you have, fostering a positive outlook. So the big G, gratitude. Gratitude. Me, I'm thankful that I have a roof over my head. I'm thankful that when it rains, the water doesn't come through my house. Because I've been in some floods here in Houston. I've been through some floods and seen the rain come in the parking lot, flood the car, flood the house. So I'm glad that when it rains now that I do have shelter. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful that I have my mind and that I wake up and that I know who I am. I'm grateful for my looks, grateful for my genetics. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have in this present time being born here in the United States during this time. Now, let me stop right there. As you're naming the things that you're grateful for, do you have them on your mind, right? You should already be through about 5 or 10 right now. The small things, it's about perspective. As you're looking at and thinking about and meditating on what you're grateful for, understand this. Everything happens for a reason. You could have been born 100 years ago. God could have waited and had you born 100 years from now. Or if your parents never spent time together, you may not even exist. So I'm not even going to talk about the odds of being born being like 500 million to 1. I'm not even going to get into that. But understand the things that had to come together and be in place for you to be born at this time means that you have purpose. You have purpose. Maybe God allowed things to delay for until now because maybe you could handle what people before you might not have been able to handle. Or maybe the people before you endured some hard times so that you didn't have to go through those same hard times, and that you can go through some things right now after benefiting from the people that came before you so that you can change the trajectory of your entire lineage. All right, the next one, strategy number 2, embracing mindfulness. Embracing mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being present in the moment without judgment. Without judgment. During hard times, grounding yourself in the present can help you manage stress and anxiety. Techniques like meditation and deep breathing can help anchor you, allowing positivity to emerge. All right, now let's go back to that part about mindfulness involves being present in the moment without judgment. This is why it's very important to practice humility and not judge others, because the measure to which we judge others will reflect back to us. So I'm here to encourage you. And I have been guilty at this at times. I raise my hand and say I've been guilty at this at times. I'm very hard on myself. I'm very tough on myself. I pride myself in knowing that there's no pressure that anyone else can put on me that I haven't already put on myself. There's no criticism that other people can criticize me for that I haven't already criticized myself for. So I am guilty of this sometimes, but I've gotten better and I'm continuing to get better, and that's a big thing. Don't judge yourself too harshly. You got to have the conversation in your head that's humble enough to keep you level-headed, to where you don't just go through life thinking that you're not doing anything wrong, thinking that you've done everything right, thinking that everything is everyone else's fault. You got to be humble enough to have self-awareness to the point where you stay grounded. But you got to be confident enough. You got to be confident enough to not beat yourself into the ground to where you don't feel worthy of what God has for you, right? So to be humble and show humility is to think lesser of oneself. Now, I always humble myself before the mighty hand of God, period, point blank. I will always think lesser of myself than the Almighty God. Let's just say that. That's the definition of humility, is to take a lower opinion or to think lesser of oneself. Before the mighty hand of God, always humble yourself. That's my advice. Now, from a human perspective, in the physical realm, like Nipsey Hussle said, he had a line, never let a hard time humble us. I think what he was basically saying is, I might go through some difficult times, I might have some failures, I might have some setbacks, but guess what? I'm always going to continue to believe in myself and understand that I am worthy and capable of succeeding on a high level as my heart desires. I'm never going to let a hard time think that I can't do it, because the second that I think that I can't do it, then my actions will follow in a way that reflects me not believing. And you have to believe. You have to believe. You have to believe. So, embracing mindfulness. I just wanted to sit there for a second and say, don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself. Now, the next strategy, step number 3. You got it? If you need to write this down, write this down. Step number 3, finding silver linings. In every difficult situation, there's often a silver lining, a lesson to be learned or an opportunity to grow. A lesson to be learned or an opportunity to grow. Discussing how challenges can lead to unexpected positives can help you guys' perspective towards hope and progress. Let me adjust the camera here, make sure you get me. Right? I have a saying. There's no such thing as failure. You either learn from it or you earn from it. There's no such thing as failure. You either learn from it or you earn from it. There's a quote that says, regret is just a sign of mental progression. Regret is just a sign of mental progression. When you make an honest mistake and you go into the future and you look back and say, man, I shouldn't have done that. I could have done it better. This would have turned out better. This would have turned out better. That's only showing that you've matured mentally and your perspective has widened. And now you have the wisdom to see how that decision affected you then versus how it could have affected you if you were where you at now. So regret is just a sign of mental progression, and we all have to live with regrets. There's not a single person in this entire world that hasn't at one time had a regret, even if later on they maintain a great perspective like we're talking about here, even if later on they saw the silver lining and wouldn't go back and change it because it got them to where they're at now. Just understand that, you know, every loss that I took in life showed me something about the future, right? There are many people who are multimillionaires and billionaires who not only have earned more money than you and I, we don't think about they've lost more money than some people will ever earn. They've lost more money than some companies could ever earn. So they say the quicker you lose, the quicker you'll win. The quicker you lose, the quicker you'll win. The quote in Star Wars, it says, the difference between the master and the beginner, the master has failed more times than the beginner has ever tried. So understand those losses are going to be complete failures only if you don't see how they taught you how to be better. So moving on, number 4, surrounding yourself with positivity. This is a huge one. That's why you see me. I got Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest. I said that before I even knew I was. Muhammad Ali. I have my clothing line that I started. It inspires me. I'm a little light right here. I just like the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Surrounding yourself with positivity. Surrounding yourself with positive influences is crucial. Whether it's supportive friends, inspiring books, motivational podcasts, curating your environment can uplift your spirits and keep you focused on the brighter side of life. Surrounding yourself with positivity. All right, guys, this is a big one. And it might take some time because there's some sneaky environments out there. Everything that feels good isn't good for you. Everything that tastes good isn't good for you. Everything that looks good isn't good for you. But you have to know and go deep within yourself. That's why self-awareness is a great thing. You have to go within yourself and you have to say, you know, what inspires me? Who inspires me? Don't worry about what other people think about them because we all are flawed. And none of us are actually giving off who we totally are in secret and in private. You know, some things are just for privacy. So don't worry about what people think about what inspires you because it's none of their business. It's none of their business. Let's focus on you, right? Let's bring it back to you. That's what we're here to do now. Let's bring it back to you because in your greatness, when you're your best self, other people are going to benefit. There are things that if you don't go and achieve and be who you are destined to be and who God called you to be, there are other people that are attached to your destiny that won't benefit and live a better life than they could had you not went for your goals. Think about how many people got to see Michael Jordan play. Players and fans. Think about if Michael Jordan had ever quit. We wouldn't have Jordan shoes, bruh. We wouldn't have Jordan shoes. We wouldn't have Kobe at the level we have Kobe. We wouldn't have the 6 championships in Chicago, the whole fadeaway. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. So that's the power of surrounding yourself with positivity. Think about how that Michael Jordan poster affected people who would eventually become great. All right, quick story, and then I'm gonna move on to the 5th one. All right, I read a book called The Magic of Tidying Up. And there's a lady who's a Japanese lady, I believe. And I'll put the link in the description. But there's a lady who's a Japanese lady, and she found her calling. Her calling was helping people to organize their space, right? And overseas where she lives, she doesn't have a lot of space, and their culture doesn't allow for a ton of space like some other cultures and some other places around the world. In Japan, in some of those Asian countries, they just have an influx of people. There's a lot of people, and the space has to be more compact and efficient. So she found her calling, helping people tidying up. And in her book, The Magic of Tidying Up, she talks about how, and I did this myself, she talks about how the first step to cleaning up and organizing your space is to dump everything out on the floor or in an area. Every single clothing item that you have in your entire house, dump it out. Her next step is to touch every single one. Touch every single sock, every single thing, because this is the process of sorting it out. You have to touch every single thing. You ask, why am I touching every single thing? Why don't I just grab a pile of stuff and leave it? Because she says, and get this, she said that how you determine what you keep and what you throw out should be based on when you touch it, how does it make you feel? Does it inspire you? Does it take you back to a good memory? Does it bring joy to your life? Does it put you in a state of peace, calmness, and tranquility? And if not, then you throw it out. I did this, guys. I did this. I didn't realize there were certain shirts and certain articles of clothing in my closet that just didn't fit quite right, and they didn't make me feel like when I put it on, it was always like, oh, I'm tolerating this shirt the entire time. I'm tolerating this shirt. I've tolerated this shirt, putting it on in my closet. Why do I still have it if I'm blessed to either be able to go acquire a new shirt, or I'm blessed to be able to be in position to bless someone else with that shirt that could possibly need it and would be inspired by it. So that's one of the examples that I have personally that I have put in my life, other than posters as you see, other than the space, other than who you choose as a spouse, other than the friends, other than the environments that you go. One thing that I have found that has been greatly liberating for me is that I have went and organized my entire drawer, my closet, my clothes, and the things that I keep are the things that I touch and inspire me and give me a good feeling. Everything else I've thrown out. So I challenge you to go do that. But go get our book. Go get the book. Go get the book. Now, the 5th. This is 5, not 10. The 5th and final step. Remember, we are talking about strategies for maintaining a positive perspective during hard times, right? The 5th strategy, practicing resilience. Practicing resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks. This is what I'm going to do. Discuss techniques for building resilience. Like reframing negative thoughts, setting realistic goals, and seeking solutions. These strategies empower you to overcome challenges with a positive spirit. Now, let me get right into it because this is the conclusion. This means that this is probably going to stick in your mind more than anything else that I've said throughout this entire presentation. Remember, this is Inspired Progress. I am Terrell Jackson, and we're here to help you become the best version of yourself. Not just people inspiration, divine inspiration. I'm not a motivational speaker. I am just a messenger and a believer in the Most High, and I want to transfer divine inspiration to you. So, with that being said, now, reframing negative thoughts. We talked about that. Reframing negative thoughts. We talked about that. Shifting your perspective. I'm just going to remind you, every ending is a new beginning. Each level that you attain requires a new, improved, and updated set of principles, disciplines, and work ethic. So don't be caught up in anything that drags your mood down, whether it's a thought, a habit, and I get it, it's tough. Because the biggest thing about practicing resilience and reframing negative thoughts, this is the sneaky thing about it. I'm going to tell you the sneaky thing about it. Sometimes there are things that worked for us in previous seasons of our life that in the next phases of life actually hurt us. You know what I'm saying? And I've been there. There are bad habits that I have accidentally slipped into that I had to look up and say, wait, when did this go from me relaxing to people looking at me like, well, you might need to slow down there. You know, so that's the thing. I want you to be conscious of those things that might sneak up that once served you in another phase of life that now are hindering you. All right. Now, the next thing, setting realistic goals. This to me is a problem. Fix my collar. I'm just going to be honest. This is a problem for me. Setting realistic goals is not something that I tend to do. Most of the things, many of the things, the majority of the things that I have accomplished in my life and got fulfillment from that blew my mind, most people said were impossible. Most people said, you're probably not going to be able to do that. Most people said, you're crazy. Why don't you just do the normal thing? Why do you want to go way up there? Why do you want to do all of that? Who do you think you are? No, I don't think you should do it. So the idea of realistic goals is kind of controversial. So this is what I say. Strive for what you believe in your heart is possible. That's different levels for everybody else. And none of us are better than the next person. Some of us just think different and we think broader and we think at different levels of reach and influence. So set the goal that you feel in your heart is a worthy goal of you. For me, it might seem grand to you. Or what you're thinking might seem extraordinary to me. But here's the thing. Don't let what people say is an unrealistic goal deter you from setting that goal. Because many of the things we experience in this lifetime today were once deemed unrealistic. Like I heard Will Smith say one time, it's impossible till you do it, right? It's impossible till you do it. I'm going to take this machine, I'm going to bend this metal, I'm going to put engines and jets in there and propellers, and it's going to soar and fly in the air. That was once impossible. I'm going to take this engine and I'm going to put it in this metal, and this is going to be able to travel 200 miles an hour. Once was impossible. I'm going to be in a dark place, and I'm going to use something that we can't see, and I'm going to weave it into the walls, and you're going to be able to have what you call electricity. You're not going to have to use fire anymore. What? that once seemed impossible. And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Nowadays, people can extend their height. I don't recommend that. That's just me. Love you. Love you. But I don't judge. Hey, but people can extend their height. They can add, so-called upgrades physically. And, look at the internet. All of these things. All I'm saying is I'm making a point that if somebody believed other people who were not able to see the vision that they were able to see, that there would be many things that we wouldn't experience in life today. So I'm going to encourage you as myself, set your goal. If that's what's in your heart and that's what you truly believe, and you believe that you have the steps and can get the steps and get the resources required to do and execute on what nobody else sees, go for it, bro. Go for it. But here's the thing. Let's reel it in. I hyped you up. Look, I'm not into just mere motivation. Like I once heard it say, I can motivate you all day to go to Disneyland. But if I don't empower you, I can motivate you all day. I can get you excited. I can get you passionate about Disneyland. I can tell you about all the amenities and all the excitements and all the rides and all the characters and all the history and great things that Disneyland has to offer. But if I don't empower you with a vehicle to get there, gas, tickets, something, then I'm only doing half of the job. So I want to go from I just motivated you, hopefully, right? I know I did. Some of you. If you're watching this still, chances are this is resonating with you. Thank you very much. And I'm humble and my heart goes out to you. I wouldn't be anybody without you. And we're going to build with people like you. And we're going to take this to a crazy level. But once you set your mind and your heart on that belief that you can do that, here's when realistic goals come into play. Realistic steps that you can take day to day to day that will get you where you want to be eventually. That's the thing. There are a lot of people who dream big. There are a lot of big dreamers. There are a lot of people who have grand goals and can tell you about every other person and regurgitate stories off of Instagram and all of that. But the success lies in figuring out the daily discipline required to get to the destination desired. The results lie in the daily discipline required to get to the results desired. The daily discipline required to get to the results required. The daily discipline desired to get to the results required. I just want you to understand that no matter how big the goal is, put that goal in your mind, put it in your heart. All right, boom, now it's there. Let's focus on today. Let's focus on today. Let's focus on today. And you build upon those daily habits, and eventually you'll look up. And I've been there. You'll be the weight that you never thought you could be. You'll have the physique that you thought was impossible. You'll have the mentality, you'll have the family, you'll have the marriage, you'll have the business, you'll have the money, you'll have the experiences, you'll have the car, you'll have the relationship with God, you'll have the peace, you'll have the calmness, you'll have the confidence, you'll have the teaching ability, you'll have the singing ability, you'll have the rapping ability, you'll have the building ability, you'll have the network, the friendships, the relationships that you just, like, man, how did I get here? How did I get here? You empowered yourself with the daily habits required to get to the results desired. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in this episode of Inspired Progress. Remember, maintaining a positive perspective during hard times is not just about denying challenges. It's about acknowledging difficulties while choosing to rise above them. By practicing gratitude, mindfulness, finding the silver lining, surrounding yourself with positivity, and nurturing resilience, you can navigate even the toughest storms with grace and emerge stronger than ever. Thank you guys for tuning in. With that being said, it's Terrell Jackson, your host, and I'll see you next time. This is Inspired Progress. God bless.